As we pick our way around the coastal path, inhaling the stagnant smell of seaweed, Moses tells me about Vivian, a woman he did not give a crow to. Vivian was a painter who set up a little gallery in Aberfeldy. She painted exclusively rabbits, mostly dead, usually drowned. She was prematurely grey in her early 30s with a head of silver, and she did a lot of cocaine, which was surprising to me. I guess I forgot you can still do Class A's in the countryside. Moses met her at the opening of her gallery, where she stood surly and agitated as the locals picked over her work with dismay. Moses was the only person to buy something, a brooding oil painting of a bunny corpse floating in an overgrown pond like Ophelia. It cost him more than £400. Was it good? I asked. It was fucking hideous. They got to talking. She, the interesting artist, he, the man with the sense to admire her work. He stayed late while she closed the shop. She insisted on wrapping up the painting properly, though he lived only a couple of streets over. She lectured him while she taped the frame with bubble wrap. Her artwork demanded respect. Then, somehow, they were taking a bump in the bathroom. Then, somehow, he was fucking her over her workbench. Her body was tight and hard-boned, and the silver of her head had not yet reached her pubic bone, which was instead a startling black. She had a tiny little brown mole right in the inner corner of her thigh. I remember that mole so tenderly. Moses looks wistful as he walks through thin puddles on the shore. Vivian herself was regimental. We did it on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but never Sundays, and always at the shop. Never her place or mine. She was very complex, not to mention English, and she had a weird relationship with her father. It ended when she couldn't pay rent on the shop anymore and had to move back down with her parents. Turns out, she'd been sleeping beneath the workbench every night after I left. That was why we never went to any houses. I found out she'd gone by the notice on the window, same as everyone else. I think she was very embarrassed about the whole thing in the end. And did she know? About your thing? Moses looks at me strangely. I tell all women about my thing, Noelle. In return, I tell him about Irving, who lived below me when I was newly 20 and living away from home for the first time. Irving was a man in his 40s, married to a neat little German wife, Antje. I remember she used to clip her lawn with scissors as some kind of meditative act. I would watch her from my window making her way across the scrubby tenement garden. Her feet were minuscule, upturned where she knelt. They had the tiniest, pinkest heels I'd ever seen. She was always inviting me in for herbal tea and homemade fruitcake, doused in all kinds of alcohol. That was how I met Irving. He was loud compared to her quiet, obnoxious compared to her observant, and he had eyes that dismembered me limb by limb, throwing away my useless parts, which seemed to be almost all of them. Inexplicably, he was a lumberjack, and had to drive out of the city each day for work, leaving early, arriving late, sparsely seen during the day. He smelled like sweat and sap. His skin was dry. He made me feel unclean. We did it in their shed while Antje was taking a migraine nap. He wore his leather lumberjack gloves and spanked me a lot. In retrospect, I think I was more curious about her. She was really lovely, but he was more accessible. You like women? Moses asks. No, I bristle, folding my arms. No, I liked Antje. I wanted to know her. It just seemed hard to think of reasons to go over. Hi, my name is Genevieve Jagger, and this is my debut novel, Fragile Animals. Fragile Animals is about a woman named Noelle who is in the midst of a breakdown when she travels to the Isle of Bute, where she meets Moses, a man who claims to be a vampire. She decides to believe him, and a relationship ensues between them based on confession of ex-lovers. It's also a book about Catholicism and doctrine and rules and religion. The highlight of my debut publishing experience has been getting to go to the queer bookshop in Glasgow that I go to buy books anyway, and see them stock my book to get to sign copies with them. When I was writing a book, that was the main location that I wanted my book to be sold in. I mean, it's very exciting that it's in other bookshops. You can get it lots of places, but specifically category is just everything they stand for, and getting to actually like be a queer author in the queer bookshop and kind of be held by that space is an amazing thing. So I have two favorite books that I've read in 2024. One of them is The Lamb by Lucy Rose, which I was lucky enough to read as a proof copy. It's coming out next year, and it's about the daughter of a cannibal, and it's horrific, but like also really brutally tender. And I just feel like it's going to be one of these books that everybody's talking about. Or Deliver Me by Elle Nash, which is body horror at its most brutal. Elle has this like amazing ability to write about some really like terrifying and disturbing things in a way that still feels like useful and beautiful, and like really lingers with you. So go read Deliver Me and go read The Lamb. Thank you very much.